And the same followed Paul and us and cried, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God, which show us the way of salvation. And this she did for many days, but Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the Spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus to come out of her. And he came out that very hour. See, when you begin reading the text, we see a woman possessed by a spirit that gives her the ability to fortune tell and predict the future. She uses this ability to make money for her masters. And verse 17 goes on to tell us that this same woman who was possessed by the Spirit began to follow Paul and Silas around the city and began to cry out, saying that these men are the servants of the Most High God. And they're preaching and telling about how great their God is and how he is able to save, deliver, and set free. And then the Bible goes on and let us know that she did this for many days. And I can imagine in my mind that Paul began to get annoyed and Paul began to get aggravated and was thinking to himself, if this fool don't shut up. You see, when Paul got annoyed enough and when Paul got irritated enough, he said, I'm sick of this foolishness. I need the man upstairs to handle my light weight. I need the man upstairs to handle my light weight. You see, at this point, he did one thing that he knew best. And he called upon the name of Jesus because he knew that there was power in that name. So you have to understand that there is power in the name of Jesus. So he turned and said to the Spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And it came out that very hour. So why should you call on the name of Jesus? Number one, because he will answer when you call. He will answer when you call. You see, no matter your situation, no matter your circumstance, God is always there to answer when you call. We can't always depend on our friends and family to help us in our time of need. Sometimes their lines are too busy, and other times we get messages that go a little something like this. We're sorry, but the customer you are trying to reach is not accepting calls at this time. Well, we all know that simply means their phone is either off or disconnected. Some of y'all ain't paying y'all bills on time. This is something that you don't have to worry about when calling on the name of Jesus. Other times the phone just rings and it rings, and then you get sent to voicemail. Yes, some of you have fickle friends. You do. If you don't know it, you do. Some of you have fickle friends who will send you to the caller, who will look at the caller ID when you call and look at it and say, I don't want to be bothered right now. And then they will put down the phone. But New Mount Zion, God sent me here today to tell you that he is there to answer when you call. You see, unlike your friends and family, God's attitude doesn't change. It is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. God will walk with you, and he will talk with you, and he will tell you that you are his very own. And the joy that you share as you tarry there, none other has ever known. So we move on down to verse 19. And it says, and when her master saw that the hope of their gains was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers, and brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city, and teach us customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely, who, having received such a charge, thrust them into the inner prison and made their feet fast to the stocks. Our text furthermore tells us that Paul had called on the powerful name of Jesus, and the spirit of divination left the woman right away. This now angered her masters because she could no longer make them any money. Now, we all know how folks get to acting when you go to messing with their money. Paul and Silas were in trouble now, so the owners captured them and roughed them up a little bit and took them to the marketplace and presented them before the law and proclaimed that these Jewish men were disturbing the peace and causing problems in the city, for they are teaching customs that we as Romans cannot observe. So their clothes were torn off, and a mob of people began to attack and beat them. They were defenseless, and afterwards they were thrown in prison. Can you imagine Paul and Silas at this very moment being obedient children of God, doing everything that they had been commanded to do, going out and preaching and teaching about the goodness of Jesus, letting everyone know that he is the one true God, he is the way, the truth, and the light? Wouldn't you be thinking to yourself, God, is this the reward that I get? I've made up in my mind to worship you. I've made up in my mind to serve you. I've made up in my mind to praise you, and you allowed this to happen to me? You must have lost your everlasting mind. Sometimes we think to ourselves, God, why me? I go to church every Sunday. I go to Bible study every Wednesday. I'm active in several ministries. I'm in constant prayer, oh God. God, I don't know what else to do. Have you forgotten about me, oh God? Most of us would have just given up. But Paul and Silas kept the faith. Paul and Silas continued to believe. So why should you call on the name of Jesus? Point number 2, because he will never forget about you. He will never forget about you. Unlike your friends and family, God will never forget about you. He knows exactly what you're going through and what is watching you every step of the way. God said, I will never leave you, nor will I forsake you. For God is all present, all powerful, and all knowing. And in moments of dismay, we cannot forget about who our God is. In moments of dismay, we cannot forget about who our God is. I don't think y'all hear me right now. In moments of dismay, we cannot forget about who our God is. Yes, it may seem like he's not there, but we have to remember that we just have to keep calling on the name of Jesus. For the name of the Lord is a strong tower. We must remember the Lord shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. The Bible declares in the book of John, whatsoever you ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Don't call your mama. Don't call your daddy. Don't call on your friends. Don't call on your pastor. Don't call your presiding elder, and don't call your bishop, because they can't do a thing for you. They can't do a thing for you, but pray for you. Again, I ask, why should you call on the name of Jesus? Number 3, because he's the only one that can save you. If you go back to Acts, we're going to begin at the 25th verse. And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God. And the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately all the doors were open, and everyone's bands were loosened. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so the foundations of the earth, of the prison, were shaken, and immediately all the doors were open. You see, what happened was Paul and Silas began to worship God. You see, Paul and Silas, despite all the mess that they had gone through, knew exactly who to call on. They didn't call on Allah. They didn't call on Buddha. They didn't call on the Pope, because they knew that there was no power in those names. But they called on the name of Jesus, the name that is above every name, the name by which every knee shall bow and every tongue shall